let's begin. My name's Catherine. I'm part of Venus. I've been on this spiritual path for the last 19 years, and I've taken this really special journey of awakening my femininity, awakening spirituality, sensuality, aiming to awaken my heart and soul. So everything that I'm sharing with you tonight has kind of been from my own experience. Of course, we are all different. We all have our unique paths, but certainly there are definitely many things that we can learn from each other in order to kind of enrich our femininity. So I've tried to make it give you as many practical tips as possible. I've also prepared a little PowerPoint for you because it's kind of easier to relate to. So I'll bring that up on the screen. If you have anything that you'd like to ask, please feel free, unmute yourself and we can speak. It is about femininity after all, and a very big feminine quality is communication and being together and yeah. Okay, one moment. Everyone see that? All right. Okay. I hope everyone can see this. So as you know, this webinar is about awakening femininity and the practical tips for this. Okay, so as you probably know, that Venus, we are everything that we are teaching is from the authentic tantric tradition. So we use in the tantric tradition words such as yoni, as you can see here on this slide. Now, yoni, it's a Sanskrit word. It means sacred space, and it is the name given to the female genitals. So the vagina, the vulva, this whole kind of sacred space of the intimate area of our being. Okay, so a really important tip and practice that we can do to help us connect to our femininity, to connect to our feminine heart, is to consciously and lovingly connect to your yoni. Okay, so the yoni, very often in the case of women, we're quite aware of the body, but very often women are kind of disconnected from their yonis, maybe because it has been kind of a taboo subject for very long, maybe because of, I don't know, certain shame or trauma when they were younger or whatever it can be, but it's quite often the case. So this is why consciously going there and really lovingly connecting to her is important, because the yoni, it is the kind of, we can say, the residence of the universal feminine power. One sec, just let me turn my phone off. So yeah, it is, we can say that it is this, if we think about one of the most feminine parts of our body. In many other kind of parts, we are very similar to men. We have two arms, we have, you know, women, of course we have breasts, but some women have much bigger or much smaller than others. So sometimes it doesn't look so necessarily different, but the yoni, it's very clear that it's a woman. So it is, we can say, this kind of the residence of the universal feminine there. And so if you have this awareness connecting to your yoni as like the residence of the divine feminine, the universal feminine power, this will help you very much to connect to your unique femininity. Because just like every woman is different, every yoni is very different as well. And so you can start to have kind of intuitions about who you are as a woman and what your feminine qualities are. So it's important also to celebrate your femininity in this sacred area, okay? And to cultivate this intimate, this loving and accepting relationship with her, to accept and to know her shape, the different sensations, even her smell, everything about your yoni. So to really bring the awareness there, because very often it just is a little bit in the dark. Let's say in the dark, meaning we're not so conscious of it, but we can use a mirror, we can use just even like gently just touching her and getting to know her in this way. It's very it's very important for us as women. And then finally, with this aspect, of course, there's a lot that we can speak about when we speak about the yoni. And we will have actually, it's starting soon, we have a course, Yoni Tantra Yoga, and it's all about cultivating this relationship with the yoni, awakening the power of the yoni, and so on. But it's important that we become aware of this connection or this mirroring effect between our yoni and our heart. And the idea here is that, you know, maybe you've been in relationships and it hasn't been so good and you've maybe suffered a little bit. If you're aware, you'll notice that this is also reflected in the yoni. Maybe she has, I don't know, you can develop thrush, or you can develop different problems, or she has a lot of contractions and you feel a lot of tension in her. This is because of this intimate connection between the two and this mirroring effect. But you know, by the other side, if we feel very in love, if we feel very open, we're very happy in ourselves, we're in a very good period of our life, we will also notice that our yoni is very happy. I can relate to this totally in my life. I know in some relationships that I've had which haven't been so good for me, and I probably, in hindsight, shouldn't have stayed so long in those relationships, but I had just kind of chronic problems with my yoni. And had I have been more aware, I would have been able to like listen to her, to what she's telling me, and then realize that it was something like in my heart that wasn't okay, and so on. So it's a very good indication of how we are in our heart. Okay, the next. Okay, breasts. Breasts, just like our yoni, they are very important feminine energetic centers. Breasts are not just, you know, some kind of part of the physical body which are meaningless and, you know, just there to, you know, look beautiful. They are actually much more profound than this, and they contain, and they are like these energetic centers that attract and contain very special feminine energy specific to your femininity. So by kind of becoming aware of the energy in our breasts, we will also start to connect very deeply to like the feminine energy, to delicacy, to love, to purity, to softness, to sensuality, sensitivity. All of these kind of very refined feminine qualities we can start to access by really becoming aware of the energy in our breasts. And we can do this in many different ways. We have a whole course running at the moment about this, but simply just even by placing your hands on your breasts and aiming just to feel, not thinking, just to feel the energy that's present in your breasts. They represent motherhood, they represent sensuality, they represent love, very many feminine qualities. So for this, we can do like daily breast massage. A lot of my girlfriends and myself for long periods of time have done this. We can just take any kind of natural oil and massaging, just sitting up and massaging with this oil, you know, in these kind of circular rotations, being careful not to press too much on the nipples, but just around the breasts in both directions, just with the eyes closed, just as an act of self-love, of deepening intimacy, of connecting to your femininity. It's very, very powerful for awakening femininity. And then also this idea of just to take care of your breasts and their energy, just like we take care of our hair, our nails, our skin, our body, and so on. The breasts are a super important part of the feminine, or of a woman. And so we can offer them the same love that we offer different parts of our body. And please, if you have any questions, like I can't see you, so just unmute yourself and we can speak. Another way that we can awaken femininity is to admire the femininity in other women. Because when we start to do this, we also start to recognize the feminine energy. And in this way, we can start to recognize it in ourselves. Because I think a lot of women, including myself in the beginning, I wasn't really sure what femininity was. It was a bit of a mystery to me. I kind of knew a few things theoretically, but by being in groups of women and surrounding myself in these kind of environments and like bathing in this feminine energy and noticing it in the women around me, I started to like recognize different qualities of femininity and recognize the feminine soul and the feminine universe. And then I could also start to see that in myself, because every woman, she acts like a mirror for us. Even though each and every woman, she's different, she's unique, she's special in her own way, we all have this like predominance of the feminine energy. And this we can start to recognize in every woman, in our sisters, in our mother, our colleagues, our friends, also different like actresses that you like. I know for periods of time I was just choosing women that I liked in different films, and I was just watching them and admiring them and really connecting to their feminine energy, because the woman, she is this like of a receptive nature. I'm sure you've heard that the woman is like the symbolic representation, one of them, of the woman is the moon, this yin, lunar, receptive, sensitive nature. And by admiring another woman, it's like we have this kind of download button inside of us, and we can just enrich ourselves through this process of admiration with all her qualities. Maybe not all, but we can start to enrich ourselves like with her qualities. So this is a very special kind of quality that a woman has, this ability to be able to assimilate very easily one from the other. And this is why these kind of groups of women are so powerful and so enriching. I'm sure many of you have kind of worked with this before, and you've probably noticed that when you've spent a lot of time in groups of women who are having similar aspirations of awakening femininity, sensuality, and so on, it's like you come out of that workshop or that retreat or something very, very much enriched and with your femininity very awakened. And it's not only because of the techniques and the exercises and things that you've done, it's just being like immersed in this feminine energy and being around other women that you look to with admiration or openness, and you assimilated from them. Okay, another practical tip is to see yourself as a goddess. And first of all, we need to think. This is a term which is kind of used quite often, but to discover in yourself what this means to you. Okay, I can say that for me, a goddess is this a sublime woman that has this fully awakened feminine energies, who is very powerful, who is confident, who inspires the others, who embodies and manifests all the feminine soul values, such as love, happiness, empathy, compassion, devotion, playfulness, joy, um, living a very colorful life, and so on. So once we've kind of discovered what that means to us, then we can ask ourselves in different moments, until this really becomes a very kind of natural state for us, like, how would a goddess act now? If we're in, and here the idea is not just to be a kind of a robot and, you know, mimicking certain things, but to really like see yourself as a goddess, because essentially each and every one of us, we are. It's just that we need to reveal her more and more by letting go of inhibitions, by letting go of a lack of self-confidence, by awakening sensuality more, by awakening our hearts more and listening to our hearts. And slowly, slowly, this sublime goddess this sublime manifestation of the universal feminine power will start to really manifest us. We will have a very strong feminine energy. So we can, to help us get there, we can ask ourselves in different moments, especially in moments when we're not sure what we should do. We can kind of think to ourselves, like, how would a goddess act now? But your goddess, not someone else's goddess. But how would she act now? What would she do in this moment? Because then what we actually do, it's called in Tantra, we transfigure ourselves. And to transfigure means to see beyond appearances, to see the essence of who we are, which is a goddess, this fully awakened, powerful, feminine woman. So this is how we can start to relate to ourselves in this way. And then here, another important idea is to take care of ourselves like a goddess would. Okay, and again, how would a goddess take care of herself? She wouldn't criticize herself all the time. She wouldn't doubt herself all the time. She wouldn't be super lazy or really self-indulgent. She would be balanced. She would be in right proportions. So not pushing herself to exhaustion and not doing anything for her evolution either. So it's like she would have this balanced state. And yeah, so this is another important thing, because often as women we have this tendency just to really push ourselves, because we live in a bit of a masculine society where and women kind of adopt the same rhythm and the same attitude. But this is not good, of course, for our femininity. So we need to start to become aware, like, how would a goddess take care of herself? Maybe she would pamper herself time to time. She would go to a massage, or she would go to a spa, or she would eat very healthily. She would take care of her body. She would be in relationships which were very good for her, which had reciprocal love. She would know her value. She would have self-respect, self-love, and so on. So this is a very important idea for women, because what I've noticed in time of working with women, and also in myself, that I think the main thing that a woman lacks is self-confidence. I would say it's more rare to find a woman that really has confidence. It's quite often that you see that women really lack it. Even if they have amazing qualities and amazing gifts and so on, it's this lack of self-confidence which stops them from really manifesting themselves as they are and who they are really. So yeah, and this taking care of yourself like a goddess would, having this kind of self-love and self-respect, it's not something egotic. It's it's something very important, because we can see ourselves as a divine being, and to see our body as like a divine temple, and take care of ourselves in this way. And of course we treat others in the same way, but this, like, self-love and so on, it's very, very important for a woman. Okay, so moving on, to learn and to enjoy the feminine arts. This is a very kind of pleasant and very fast way for women to awaken femininity, especially when it's done in groups. So here we can have different examples of feminine arts, like different types of dance. Here in Venus, we do sacred belly dance, we do sensual dance, we did striptease, twerking, even like tantric twerking. So all of these like feminine types of dance, they awaken this feminine energy very, very quickly. I mean, even in one session, you will feel this feminine energy which is just oozing from you, and sensuality, and this feeling of aliveness and being very awakened. So yeah, that's very powerful. Also things like singing. We will have an event hopefully in July on this devotional singing. yeah, we've also done in different like women's groups of just like singing together, and it's a very feminine way of like connecting and being together, because connected, very deeply connected with femininity is creativity. So any form of creativity and artistic expression is awakening the feminine energy very much. Poetry, cooking, flower arranging, there are like these 64 arts described in the Kama Sutra, that it was recommended for every woman to know, basically. Yeah, I personally, I wouldn't spend my life learning all of them, but the ones that I feel affinities with, like dance, for example, I very much enjoy, and really I feel my feminine power in that moment. So this is good because when you can really have an example when you really feel in your feminine, then you can start to expand that into the rest of your life. Like when I dance, I really feel this feminine energy flowing through me very strongly. I feel my sensuality awakened. I feel this passion and so on. And then that works as like a reference point. So I can see, okay, that's my feminine energy. Like that's very powerfully expressed there. And then I can start to be that woman in the rest of my life. Okay, so that just becomes my background state. Also in lovemaking, I really feel this feminine power, which is manifesting like for super strongly. And so then I want to be like a coherent woman that is that feminine woman in all my life, regardless of where I am. Of course, the situation changes, so I don't act exactly like I am when I make love, obviously, but it's like I'm still aware of all those energies that I have, and I'm still bringing that femininity. It just becomes a background state. So yeah, the idea here is find these feminine arts where you really feel your femininity, and then you can start to identify it and then expand it in the rest of your life. Okay, another tip that we can do for awakening femininity is to start our day in like a conscious way. Here I've said to start it with a ritual. You can call it however you want, whatever resonates with you. But very often we kind of start our day. I mean, I don't do it anymore, but I used to. I now kind of ritualize my morning. I have like a meditation practice, a yoga practice, and a couple of techniques that I do. But yeah, very often women kind of start their day like in a big rush and getting the kids ready and all of this kind of thing, getting dressed, putting on a bit of makeup, putting on whatever clothes and eating something quickly and then leaving. And because the feminine nature is that of relaxation, it is that of intimacy, it is that of playfulness and even sensitivity and so on. So as we all know, if we want to have a day where we're constantly connected to our feminine energy, it's very important that we start it in that way, because it will be very difficult to start in this kind of more unconscious way and then try to go back to reconnect to the feminine energy. It needs to start from the beginning of the day. So just even by taking like 10 minutes, just taking this little time, wake up 10 minutes earlier, a little time just to prepare your day so that you feel like centered, connected to your heart, you feel relaxed, connected to your feminine energy, you feel positive, happy, because when we're unbalanced, when we're out of our center, when we're in a rush, when we're pushing ourselves to exhaustion, when we're just doing everything for that relationship and so on, we start to lose our center and we become unbalanced. And a woman, or nor a man, can ever be happy when they're unbalanced. Okay, so if we start every single day in this like balanced way, it will really, really help us very much with connecting to our feminine energy, being in the feminine, being a woman, and being conscious of that. So some examples here: you can meditate, even 10 minutes of connecting to your heart, a very beautiful feminine practice. You can do this breast massage, like I said earlier, 5 minutes of that. You can dance, just putting on one of your favorite songs and just dancing around your room. No one has to see you. You're not doing it for anyone. You're just doing it for yourself, to be in your body, to feel connected to the feminine energy. Even gentle stretching, because a very like feminine quality is that a woman is very connected to her body. When we're in our body, we're also connected to our emotions, and we're connected to our heart. We're like out of this agitation of the mind and connected to the heart. So anything that helps us get in the body, it will help us to be in the feminine all the time. Slow movements of the body, yoga, journaling. I know a few of my girlfriends, that's how they start every day. They just take a few moments just to be by themselves. They take a warm, like a tea, and just do some journaling for a few minutes. Whatever we feel works for us, try to start the day like that, in a conscious, balanced, centered, feminine way. Okay. Take care of your body temple every day. Now, this is really important. It's not something superficial. It's not something just because we are spiritual women that, we don't care about these kind of details, because the idea is that everything is energy. And until we're at that point where we are completely detached and unaffected by our surroundings, unaffected by our emotions, unaffected by everything, we need to take care of this, because what we're not conscious of, it controls us to a certain extent. So here the idea is to treat our body as a temple. And again, everyone's heard this kind of statement, but discover what this really means to you. You can call it something else. Treat your body as, your sacred space, your sacred home, whatever it is, but make it something personal and make it intimate to you, so that you can really start to put it in practice. Because our body, it is the home of our heart, it is the home of our soul, and we need to take care of it. And especially as women, it's important. And here I'm not talking about being, extremely skinny so that you meet this like society's vision of how a woman should look like. Not at all. Every woman is different. We all have different sizes. We need to find the size which is kind of harmonious for us. But what I'm more speaking about is to kind of take care of all the details of the temple. So take care of our body for ourselves, so that you feel feminine, you feel sensual and beautiful. And again, because each of our femininity is so different, we need to discover what this means to us. Applying oil every morning, in a like ritualized way or in a very conscious way. Applying moisturizer. Maybe you'd like to wear a little jewelry, or maybe you like to wear a lot of jewelry or no jewelry. Wearing a little bit of makeup or a lot of makeup. Beautiful fragrances, special lingerie, not for your partner necessarily, but for you, so that you feel this sensuality, you feel this femininity. Because as I said, all of these, they are energies. And the more you can become aware of that, the more you'll notice how they affect you. I'm sure you can relate to this, like when you've put on like your favorite dress, and you felt really beautiful and very feminine. You felt really good, right? And that's because also it has all the colors that we can wear. They have specific energies. They affect our mood in a certain way. So it's good to experiment with this and to discover what works for us, what helps us, because this is what it's about. We want to use all of these elements to our advantage, to be happier, to be more fulfilled, to feel very feminine all the time, to feel sensual, even to feel sexy, elegant, however. So yeah, choose these items. This is a point consciously. And here I wanted to make this point that I really discovered that every single woman is beautiful. She only needs to discover that in herself and not try to replicate another kind of woman's beauty, but discover it in herself. Start to recognize this energy of beauty in herself and to grow that energy. And we can do this by really taking care of herself. Like a woman that takes care of herself, she can amplify this energy of beauty very easily. And she takes care of her femininity, she can amplify this energy like a lot. I could see it in my life. The more I transformed and the more kind of in touch with my femininity I got, I can see very clearly from photos how I was before and how I am now, even if I'm much older. This is 20 years ago, you know, but I can see that my beauty, it's awakened more and more because I started to connect to my femininity, and naturally those two kind of also, they start to develop together. So another thing that we can do in this direction is to wear like feminine and also colorful clothing. So here we don't need to follow fashion. You don't need to follow the latest trends, because a goddess, she is an eternal, she's a cosmic woman. She doesn't have to follow these kind of trends of society, which are always changing. You know, in the 30s, a woman was to look like this and to wear this kind of clothes. In the 50s, different. In the 80s, totally different. In the 90s, you know. So you don't need to be overly concerned about these kind of things with the fashion and what a woman should wear and only to wear gray or black or so on, because again, they're energies. So to experiment with this and find what works for you, what makes you feel beautiful, even if it's not the thing that's totally in fashion, you know, because once you start to discover your own unique feminine style that you feel very happy in and you feel sensual and beautiful, then that's the most important thing. Okay, and then like experiment here with different colors and notice how they feel. So you can try like different bright colors and notice the impact that it has on your state, because it does. There's a certain kind of natural healing called color therapy, and it's working with different colors. They also implement this in different hospitals, in psychiatric wards, and they noticed that it had quite an impact on the patients. So there's a whole kind of spiritual science behind this knowledge, but the colors that we also surround ourselves with in our home, in our room, and also that we wear, it definitely has an impact. So it's good to be conscious of this and experiment with this. And it can either enhance our femininity a lot or take away from the femininity. Okay. So moving on from taking care of the body, like the temple of the body, to take care of your room, your apartment, your house, wherever you live, your boat, wherever it is. Because I'm sure you know, our outer space, it's always a reflection of our inner space. So if the outer space is cluttered, chaotic, in a mess, and so on, that's a very good indication of how we are inside. And a feminine quality is that a woman always takes care of the details. You know, she'll go and she'll put some beautiful pot plants in a corner, or she will bring some colored cushions, or whatever it is. But it's part of the feminine nature to be attentive to details. So we can help to really feel this feminine energy by making our space beautiful, making our space sensual, like using oil diffusers, using candles, using colorful cushions, flowers, however we feel, but to bring this touch of femininity to our environment, even to make our room feel like our temple, our sacred space. And when we enter it, we really can just easily connect to our femininity, to our heart, and feel this intimacy, which is very characteristic of a woman. And here it's good to know that the space that we live in, it's not one dimensional. In other words, it's not just a physical space. Of course, there are other kind of dimensions to it. And here, I'm sure you can tell that when you enter into someone's space, when you're aware of it, you can also feel the energy of that person, because their energy, it obviously fills their space. Okay, so take care of this, and we can do, I don't know, we can do meditation in our space, we can pray, we can practice yoga, whatever spiritual practice that we have, really to charge our space with this sacredness and intimacy and love and all of these like beautiful energies, very feminine energies. And then finally here, the feminine nature is, she is the one who's taking care of beauty, of taking care of life. The feminine qualities of compassion and love and so on, and she is attentive to details, so we can bring all of this to our space. Okay, another important aspect is for us, I've kind of touched on this up until now, but for us to take care of our energy. We don't need to push ourselves to the point of exhaustion. When it's important that we stop when necessary, we recharge, we reconnect to our center, we reconnect to our heart, we find this point of balance within us. Okay, because a woman that is very stressed, that is very tense, who is frustrated, who is tired all the time, who lacks energy, it's obvious, even when I'm saying it, right, that's not the feminine. The feminine energy, she is life itself. She's manifestation. So we really need to take care of this, because only in this way, then we can offer to the others. Because if we're totally devitalized, if we don't have energy, if we're not happy, if we're out of balance, then we can't bring much good into the lives of the ones that we love. So it's better that we know our limits, and we're very attentive to take care of our energy. We work when necessary, we relax when necessary, we take time out when necessary. We can even make like big efforts when is needed, but all the time to be aware of this. Okay, because in this way we will be happy, we will find this happiness within. And again, that's like one of a very beautiful feminine quality, is this happiness and this joy of life. Okay, and here, don't lose energy in unconstructive ways. And I'm sure we can all relate to this. Unconstructive ways could be like in a relationship which is not going anywhere, like a toxic relationship, for example, or losing ourselves in social media, getting very caught up in these kind of things. You know, this is just a loss of our energy, which we don't need. It's not of any benefit to us. Okay, another really very important aspect is to discover our unique femininity, because like I was saying, every woman is different. We all have very different qualities. We are all faces of the universal feminine, the divine feminine, but each of these faces is very different. So here, then we cannot say that there is also one single recipe for every single woman. We can't just say, do this and this and this, and then you'll be a very feminine woman, because we are all so different. And this is why I wanted to try to bring as many kind of different ideas as possible, so that you could relate to the ones that you felt like affinities with. But the important thing is to discover your unique femininity. And like I was saying earlier, one way that we can really do this is to notice when you feel in your feminine power. Maybe that's when you're with your family, or when you're with your children, you really feel this nurturing, this love, this affection, this bringing together that is very specific to the feminine nature. Okay, and then you can start to have an idea that, okay, these are kind of some of the feminine qualities that I have. And you might think that that's natural for every woman, but it's not. It's not. Some other women, they might feel this feminine power, really, like me, for example, when I'm in sensuality, when I'm in eros, I can really, I feel this feminine power like very, very strongly. Other women, they might feel it like the picture I've chosen here, like she might be this kind of heroine woman, and she feels this feminine power when she's doing what is needed, when she's supporting her sisters, when she's lifting other women and so on. She can really feel this feminine power. So we can have so many infinite different examples of different feminine energy. So we find our unique feminine energy by just identifying it in different moments. Or maybe when you're in nature, you feel this feminine energy, or when you're with your beloved, for example, you really feel in this intimacy, in this love, in this interaction with the divine masculine, that you feel your femininity. Okay. So like I was saying earlier, once we recognize this, then we start to grow it. Another important idea, it's kind of related to what we were saying earlier about don't like take care of our kind of energy, these reserves, is also to take these moments of intimacy with yourself. It's not only men that like to go in the like man's cave. Women also, every human being needs this time to just be by themselves and to be intimate with themselves and to rest back into their center. Even if you live with your husband or with your partner, your family, it's still really important for us to just have these moments of intimacy with ourselves. And in these moments, we can, like I said here, some examples, you can just listen to some of your like favorite music that really awakens your heart, which awakens your soul, which you feel very connected to yourself. Or you can dance, or you can just read or meditate or pray or spend time in nature. Whatever it is, it's important that we do it. I know from in my life, if I spend too much time with my lover and we're just always together, and then I start to feel that I'm out of balance, and I need time just to center again in myself, and then like we can come back together and I'm very happy and alive and I have what to offer and I feel centered and so on. But if in that moment, if I spend too much time, then I just need to kind of withdraw and be by myself, even for short periods of time, half a day, or so on. So in this time, we can also become aware that we are taking this time to be a woman, okay, returning from this masculine energy, active, externalized, goal-orientated, returning to the feminine, just resting back in the feminine essence. Which is often kind of characterized by like this softness and gentleness and love and affection and intimacy with herself, feeling all her emotions, experiencing these emotions, because the woman is made up very much of the kind of emotional life. It's actually a part of the feminine nature to be an expression of all these energies of life, of emotions, of intensity, of color, of yeah. So in these moments of intimacy with ourselves, we can also ask ourselves different kind of questions. Here I've just put one. Is there something that I feel is blocking my feminine power? And here we don't need to go into the mind, because the intuition, which is another feminine quality, the intuition, it will help us. Okay, so even just focusing in our hearts, asking our heart, is there something that is blocking my feminine power? And I am very sure that we can have some clear answers that our intuition can tell us there. Okay, another important element for awakening femininity definitely is awakening sensuality. Sensuality and femininity, they go hand in hand, because if we think about what is really where the difference in the sexes, or the sexes starts, let's say, is in sexuality. And so for a woman to awaken this sensuality, which is kind of one of the energies which is coming from the sexual energy, it's helping very much then to amplify her specific sex, which is the feminine one. So the sensuality, we can say, is an awareness of the senses. So a woman who has the sensuality awakened, she's very sensitive to touch. She's very sensitive to the smells. When she eats, she can taste a lot. She's very kind of present in that. She experiences a lot of pleasure through the hearing and through the sight. Okay, so all of these senses, she's very attentive. She's very sensitive to the senses. A woman or a man who doesn't have the sensuality awakened, it's like we kind of have this crust, thick crust of desensitivity, because of very many reasons we can have this. But through awakening the sensuality, this crust starts to fall away, and we become very in touch with life and all the experiences of life. And because of this, we also awaken our capacity to experience pleasure. And in this way, we also awaken a lot of enjoyment for life. It's very well known, actually, that our capacity to experience pleasure, and pleasure can be of all different forms, it is very much linked with the quality of our life. Okay, anyway, coming back to awakening femininity, awakening sensuality, it's very powerful for awakening femininity. A lot of these kind of movements for empowering women is focused very much on sensuality, exactly for this reason. And here I just gave some little tips about how we can awaken this sensuality. Sensual dance, as I was saying earlier, it's very very helpful for awakening sensuality. You can perceive the difference in just one kind of class. Sensual massage, learning sensual massage, receiving sensual massage. We have a tantric massage course running at the moment that I'm leading. It is a sensual, even erotic massage. And then also taking natural aphrodisiacs, that will help to awaken sensuality, our capacity to experience pleasure, the erotic energy. And then you can also watch visual aphrodisiacs. Here, I'm just saying you can watch different erotic films even. So you find some erotic films that resonate with you. Okay, there are some very beautiful, kind of very refined erotic films which are made especially for women. And just simply by watching that, again, you can admire these women and you can connect to their sensuality and really like put yourself, let's say, in their shoes and really feel her sensuality. This can help us to awaken sensuality a lot. I did it for long periods of my life. I used to take like a certain practice of 49 days of just watching some erotic films, the ones that I had chosen, which I really liked, and I felt that they were refined and beautiful, and I felt that there was love, and yeah, so that's a powerful way for awakening sensuality as well. Okay, and here when we speak about femininity, we are speaking about the expression of all the feminine energies. And these feminine energies, they have their residence in the feminine soul. So a woman, she's not just the female body. I'm speaking here about this kind of holistic perspective, this holistic vision of the human being. So because we have a female body, this is also meaning that we have certain, the energetic body of the woman is also kind of has a predominance of the feminine energy, the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings, the psyche, let's say, it has this, we can say it's like a feminine psyche. Of course, it's different from woman to woman, but still, and as well, the feminine soul, or the soul of the woman, it is having these feminine kind of characteristics, because all of these bodies, they are interlinked. It's not just random that we have the female body and then that's it. The rest of us is just human, or just, it's not specifically feminine. It is because the human being is like this holistic being. We have the female body, we have the feminine psyche, we have the feminine soul, and all of these are interconnected. They're different from woman to woman, but still we have this predominance of feminine energy. This is why we are women, to kind of learn this lesson, let's say, of being a woman, and to really deeply experience this life as a woman. So this connecting to and manifesting the feminine soul values is a very important part of the feminine nature. And here the soul values are love. A woman is very sensitive to the energy of love. And it's not to say here that men aren't, but women are in a very specific way. This is something that touches her heart very, very deeply. She's very moved by this. She is searching for this. Happiness, it's another feminine soul value. It's something that we can, when we're connected to our soul, we can bring into our life, into the lives of the ones that we love. Joy, compassion, tenderness, devotion, openness, this state of surrender, of abandonment, creativity, playfulness. There are very many feminine soul values, just as there are many beautiful masculine soul values. We complement each other. And again, the idea is that we awaken both the feminine and the masculine. But first, it's important that we really get in touch with ourselves as women and awaken this feminine. So a woman who is connected to the feminine, she is a manifestation of these energies. So she embodies these energies. She's loving, she's devoted, she's open, she's playful, creative, joy. And again, we will all kind of manifest these qualities differently, because no woman is the same, and we all come into this life with our own qualities. It's just important that we are aware of what those qualities are, and really to be confident in those qualities and have the courage just to manifest them, to really be who you are as a woman. If it's that you're really, I don't know, playful and a little bit wild and open and has a very intense love for life and so on, then be that woman and manifest that. Have the confidence in yourself. If you're a woman that's extremely devoted, she's compassionate, loving, has a huge self-sacrifice, wants to help humanity, then be that woman and have the courage to really manifest those. When we are connected to our feminine soul, to this very deep part of who we are, the essence of who we are, then this is when we find our own happiness. Then we become like an independent woman who is not reliant on a man, on a job, on a certain lifestyle, on a certain career or so on to be happy. She finds this within, and then she becomes this source of happiness, and she finds the love within. She's not searching for it in different men or women or friends or family, but she finds this within and she becomes a source of this. But we find this within when we are balanced, when we are centered, when we are connected to ourselves. And here I just put that, know that the love is inside each and every one of us, and we can connect to that all the time. And here, I'm not just saying this because Venus is a spiritual community for women. I'm saying it because I can see the very, very big effects that it has upon women when they join like a spiritual kind of community or a spiritual group for women who have this aspiration and this aim to awaken the feminine, to connect to the universal feminine or the divine feminine. It's very clear how quickly a woman transforms and how much she opens up and she blossoms and awakens all of these feminine qualities, because it's like she enters into this, she just like bathes herself in this feminine energy. And yeah, so it's very, very transforming. In this way, we awaken our feminine qualities, we connect to the sensual, the erotic woman within, and we discover ourselves in new and beautiful ways. So becoming more confident and more happy. So that was some practical tips for awakening femininity. Of course, it's a very, very big and vast and amazing topic. But yeah, they were just some kind of tips that I thought were the most important and accessible. If you have any questions about any of that or any comments about any of that.
Beautiful. I needed that. Thank you so much. I needed that reminder, and it was beautiful. Thanks, Catherine.
You're welcome, Adele. I know, ladies, that it was this, it was a lot of theory. And, you know, ideally when we speak about awakening femininity, we speak about just being together and doing exercises together and things, but that wasn't the idea of this webinar tonight. But in the end, what I would like to do, I would like to ask everyone to turn their videos on, because I want to do an exercise, like I was saying, of identifying the feminine or connecting to the feminine in every woman. So for this, we will need to have the videos on. I will play some music, and what we will do is just to look at each woman on the screen. And don't worry, ladies, what you look like doesn't matter. We connect to something much deeper. So to look at every woman on the screen and aim to connect to this, the feminine energy of each and every woman. Okay, so as many of you as possible can turn the videos on, it would be wonderful. Okay. Thank you, ladies. So nice to see you. Very beautiful. Okay, so ladies, what I'll do, I will play this music and just look at all the screens. Just take a few moments to look at every woman, and using this empathy that women have naturally, just to connect to this, her feminine heart, to connect to her feminine energy, and also to notice how this feminine energy expresses itself very differently, very uniquely through each and every woman. Okay. Keep yourself open. It doesn't matter what we look like, and just connecting to the feminine heart of every woman, her feminine energy, and admiring that as well. Okay, we're starting. Do you see the universal feminine in every woman? Women are beautiful and amazing, aren't they? Okay, ladies, so we've finished for tonight. Just before going, I just want to quickly show you some of the courses that we have, in case you're interested. We have a lot of very beautiful courses for femininity, sensuality here at Venus. We're a very close group of friends that's kind of run Venus, like spiritual sisters. So if you just give me 1 second. So you can see here we have this Yoni Tantra Yoga course that I mentioned. This course for connecting to the Yoni, awakening the power of the Yoni, developing the intimate muscles, our capacity to experience pleasure, a loving relationship with the Yoni. It's a very special form of like yoga for the Yoni. As you can see here, the intro is on the 17th of May. It's a free intro. You can see if it's something that you would like to do. And then the course is starting on the 24th. And we also have fortnightly women's circles. I'm taking an advanced one. And we also have 2 of the women in Venus. They're running as well. Circles, everything's online, of course, at the moment, at least. So yeah, that's very, very, very fast way just to kind of awaken femininity and all the feminine qualities. And then we also have this sacred belly dance. We have a group that meets every Friday night, but we also have this introductory module, and we have a free intro on the 9th of May. 7 till 7:45. Again, you can see if it's something that you like. It's done in this spiritual way, so it's just not normal belly dance. It's really going for this awakening feminine qualities, awakening sensuality, love, beauty, fire, inner fire, and so on. We have this tantric massage training for women with me. As I mentioned, we already did the first module, but you can watch the recordings of that. And we have the second module on the 22nd and 23rd of May, where we learn this body-to-body sensual massage. And then we have a social evening for women called Goddess Nights once a month. And this one is about unlocking your erotic imagination. So kind of going into this erotic fantasy, even writing your own. And yeah, that's £5 and it's on the 15th of May. Yes, so it was very beautiful to be with you all tonight, and that exercise we did was very, very touching. Yeah, I always feel my heart awakens so much, and I love to recognize and to feel this feminine energy. It's something very, very touching. And I hope to meet you all again and to continue this wonderful journey together. So good night, ladies. Have a wonderful weekend and a beautiful night. And I send you a lot of love. And yes, good night.